Life on the Hyphen, The Cuban American Way, by Gustavo Pérez Firmat, begins a journey through his personal exploration of his own Cuban American identity, offering a radically different perspective on immigrant culture encounters. In his search for a context, Firmat shows and gives meaning to his bicultural experience with this clear quote, "Born in Cuba, made in the USA." This phrase crossed the fault line of 1959, date of the Cuban Revolution. Instead of remaining still, the hyphen moves up and down like a seesaw, with one side corresponding to Cuban culture and the other to American culture. This Cuban-American combination has had to balance life within two worlds, one representing their past, one their present and future. Pérez Firmat is a member of what has been called the 1.5 generation, a term first coined by sociologist Ruben Rumbaud, which is composed of those who left Cuba as children or young adults. This generation exhibits a bicultural outlook, the one that lives on the hyphen, or poised at the center of the seesaw fulcrum, as it achieves a balance between its native and adopted cultures.
My life is a delicate balancing act between two countries, two cultures, two languages. Ask me where I really belong, in Cuba or in America, and I wouldn't be able to tell you because I belong in both.
These quotes implies that Pérez Firmat's hyphenation becomes something else, perhaps a balanced being that provides more support and the possibility of maintaining equilibrium, or better yet, a solid bridge that spans and provides passage between distant ends. Life on the Hyphen reflects the Cuban exile attempted to reproduce their culture in their new home. Of course, culture is not a fixed entity because it's always changing, with or without revolution and or migrations. Cuban culture, both in Miami and on the island, continued to be redefined and shaped by the different reality of each social and political location. In their effort to maintain their Cubanidad, exiles fiercely tried to hold on the tradition they had brought with them.
The painful knowledge that they live in exile has been attenuated by the comforting feeling that they never left. You walk into a restaurant on 8th Street, and not only does it have the same name as one in Cuba, but it probably has a map of Havana on the wall and a Cuban flag over the counter. You know you're in Miami, but still you feel at home.
Cuba will remain at his true home, the place that decisively shaped his character and values. That passage brings back within the boundaries of the ethnic enclave that of the Cuban community in Miami. After all, Pérez Firmat's exile condition precluded the possibility of a return to his native land, but only in his imagination. As one of the forms that has been frequently cultivated by Latino writers is the concentration in bilingualism. Most of the Firmat's writing is in the bilingual mode, since he shares a sense of hybridity and cultural duality resulting from his first-hand knowledge of both Cuban and American cultures.
English is factual, Spanish is florid. English is plain, Spanish is ornate. English is the language of business, Spanish the language of love, and of music and food and abuelitas.
Bilingualism involves a relation not only between speakers and languages, but between the languages themselves. The bilingual is the side where two languages meet, the medium or membrane that engage him in the conversation. However, in the New World, English and Spanish represent countries and cultures. Cuban American literature presents a fascinating challenge to any scholar who would attempt to study images of a concrete home country in their narratives. Exiles has indeed proven to be a positive experience for the number of the second and now third generation, as the physical distance from their geography and culture has led these writers to look anew at the values and tradition of Cuban culture.